I love michelletea's piece. What she's bringing up is the hypocritical attitude that her friends had towards her guy lover who's in FTM. So that for those of you who don't know, that's female to male, trans, and so her lover, she felt, was only accepted into dyke spaces on the basis of femaleness. So, and that's something that I struggle against. Male to female transsexuals in the queer scene really deal with that, because there's all of these attitudes very prevalent in dyke spaces that FTMs are girls and MTFs are guys, and that's just so therefore FTMs, these boys can be let in, and they're maybe legitimate dating partners because they're special, because they're not really guys, which is that's totally undercutting everything that FTMs are trying to achieve. But it's kind of interesting because they do get privilege, so the MTFs who are identifying as dykes, right? Male to female, transsexual, love women, identify with femininity. They're not allowed in. They're not allowed in at all, because they're not considered women. Whereas the FTMs are allowed in. Kind of. They get all kinds of shit, but at least they're allowed in. So. At this year's Queer Arts Festival, there was, I heard a lot of FTMs talk about it, and from a male femme perspective, it's kind of hard to hear, because I'm sure from their perspective, having been part of the dyke community, lesbian community, and then feeling what it's like to be treated like a boy, that must really suck. But I don't know, compared with the MTFs that are, considered toxic wastes, they can hang around, but they're not really a legitimate dating partner. It's much better to be a FTM. Or somebody else said at one of the readings I went to in the Queer Arts Festival, that if FTM was complaining about being fetishized by dykes. She's saying, well, yeah, but I'd damn well rather be desired and fetishized than shunned the way she was. So it's tricky, and the thing that's really tricky from my soapbox of male femininity is, I don't think that FTM issue will ever really be resolved until dykes deal with the fruits of radical feminism, which was this penis equals man equals bad, so until they deal with their prejudice against men, the only way they can be accepted into dyke society is by unmanning them, so that's this irony, the absurdity. And so I've said it before. I've said it about all of the marginalized dyke groups. Let's call it that. You can substitute queer for dyke if you like, but the marginalized dyke groups, FTM to the extent they're really marginalized, MTFs, femi boys, male femininity, and bisexual girls. That we're all marginalized based on this man equals bad thing, which until that's dealt with, until I can be considered a legitimate part of queer society, that I would have dating partners, that there's some space that I could go to and cruise, and people would cruise me. Until that exists, even the groups that are more accepted, you're not really going to be accepted. The bi girls are going to have to be in the closet. The FTMs are going to have to rescind their manhood in order to be part of your community. MTFs will just be, you know, isolated and marginalized. And, you know, gay boys can hang around as long as they have no interest in feminine bodies whatsoever, as long as, you know, they are asexual. You know, so asexual men, you know, men that have no interest in women, you know, they can hang around, you know, but they're never going to be a center of the society anyway. So I hope you enjoyed my my kicking over sacred cows. Tune in next time for another sacred cow. Bye bye, kids.